What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy, and just having a great start to the new week so far. If you had to take a COVID test, flu test, or a test for some other virus, I hope you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long-term issues and no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Monday edition of the Virus Update for Monday, February 24th, 2025. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do the daily virus update on all those viruses that could make us sick. Let's face it, there's been a lot of people sick this winter. The viruses have been running rampant and widespread. COVID, flu, RSV, norovirus, all have been spreading like crazy this winter, and it's resulted in a lot of illness and hospitalizations. You need to know what's going on with these viruses. That's what I do here on my channel each and every day. I provide you the latest news, data, and anything else I can find to keep you safe and informed. Want to stay informed with what's going on? Just subscribe down below. Of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, share this video with anyone you know, and remember to leave your comments down below in our growing community. And of course, the more people that hit that like button, the more YouTube's going to push out this content. Let's try for 200 likes today. Why more likes? Because, like I said, they'll help push this out more, and if it's pushed out more, I can help keep more people informed. Alrighty, we do have several news stories to talk about today. Shouldn't take too long with the news because we have some other things to look at, which includes new data from Walgreens, some of our daily data. I want to look at the hospital emergency department visits for those diagnosed with COVID. And of course, I also do want to take a look at a few more wastewater sites as well. So let's get right into it, shall we? Starting off with B&O News and their weekly COVID update. New cases, 156,229 cases are estimated. Hospital admissions for COVID, 10,936. That's actually down by 7% in the hospital for COVID, or a COVID-related reason. They're positive for COVID and in the hospital, down by 2%. That's 9,563. In the ICU, 1,430. That's actually up by 5%. New deaths, it's lower than the average, 727, and that brought the average down by 6% to 909. Now let's try and get a sense of what the road ahead looks like, which, to be honest with you, is a very complicated picture. Here's Mike Horger with his latest PMC COVID dashboard update for February 24th. He says 1 in 87 are actively infectious, 500,000 estimated daily infections, higher transmission than in this time in 2021 or 2022, 1 in 3 chance of exposure in a group of 35 people if no testing-isolation. And if we take a look at his graphic here, we can see here it does look like transmission is expected to continue to drop, but you know, that could easily change. Let me explain here. First off, PMC COVID dashboard on February 24th. Transmission is 3 times the levels of this point in 2021, 25% higher than in 2022. The forecast is highly uncertain. Dr. Jelly Roll Blues says we're headed for a surge soon. And Mike is saying he is slightly more optimistic than Jelly Roll Blues. But hey, it's something we have to keep watching because, as you know, I showed you the latest variant the other day. Maybe I'll show it to you today as well. XEC, while it still dominates, LP 8.1 is right on its heels. Who knows what is going to happen with that? Historically, we don't usually see a national spring surge, but we have seen cases where some places here and there do surge in the spring. One of those places we're actually going to look at in Wastewater today, that would be Disney World. So, yeah, anything's possible going forward. And remember, we had that huge summer wave last summer. That's why there was a little bit of immunity going into the winter wave, and maybe why the winter wave wasn't so severe. So, who knows? That immunity could wear off soon. Maybe we do see another wave in the near future. The point is, at some point, before this year's done, there will be another wave of COVID. All right, in Alabama, Daleville student tests positive for whooping cough. Yes, this is not good. A letter was sent home to parents. Whooping cough is something that we are seeing increasing across the United States. It happened last year, slightly the year before, and you know what? I think it's going to happen again this year. We've already seen some cases. All right, on the bird flu front, USDA didn't report any new H5N1 bird flu infected dairy herds today. This is coming from Helen Branswell, but they only reported 4 new herds last week, 2 in California, 1 in Michigan, and 1 in Nevada. Given what's happening in the U.S. government right now, it's not clear if there are no new herds or it's a backlog. I hope it's no new herds, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is a backlog. We can only hope it is not a backlog. Moving on to this now. In Indiana, 3 more Indiana farms quarantined due to avian influenza. We're talking about birds now. We're not talking about cattle this time, but Indiana is getting hit really hard at poultry farms. This is not a good thing whatsoever. All right, moving on to human flu, influenza A, tracking flu in New York. Some signs of flu season slowing down, but let me tell you, New York has had a lot of cases. Wait till you hear this number. Rochester, New York, with nearly 380,000 statewide cases to date this flu season. Recent numbers from New York State Flu Tracker are showing some signs of the virus spread slowing down. That's a good thing because 380,000 cases are quite a few. In Monroe County, the numbers are actually up. So Monroe County, New York, 2,145 cases reported in the week ending on February 15th. So that is not good. Now moving on to this in baseball, and I hope we don't have a new trend in baseball as to what we're seeing in the national basketball. So in basketball, because it wouldn't be a good thing. There have been a large number of players turning up to spring training or showing up late to spring training because they are sick or they've been getting sick at spring training. Yeah, this is not a good thing, and the majority of these are saying illness. I've seen some say stomach flu. Cincinnati Reds just had Andrew Abbott returns to Reds camp after illness, and basketball, NBA has been getting hit really hard. So again, I hope this is not a theme that we're going to start seeing in all the different sports. We do know last year there were quite a few baseball players that had to have Tommy John surgery, which I thought seemed to be more than usual. What do I know? I mean, it's really strange what's going on with sports. All these different illnesses, all these injuries, players not playing as much. Yeah, really strange what's going on. Football did not seem to be too bad this year, but some of the other sports definitely seem to be having problems. In Canada, the viral activity level for COVID-19 is moderate, flu A is high, flu B is moderate, and RSV is listed at high at this time. All right, let's take a look at air qualities. Hopefully, the air qualities will be better than what we saw yesterday on the map. But you know what? Wouldn't surprise me if they're not. We can see down here along the Georgia coast of the Atlantic and South Carolina, yeah, still some problems there. Doesn't look like the rest. Up there we go. I was about to say it was not going to load. We're seeing some yellow and orange in the Northeast, still some orange in the Midwest, and some problems in California as well. So that is not a good thing to see. Taking a look at what's going on in Pinellas County, Florida, and wow, I'm seeing a sick person, not once, not twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and a whole bunch of other problems going on there. Yeah, that's not good. They are really busy, and take a look at this. There are some high wait times at the hospitals as well for these ambulances to discharge their patients. That's not a good thing. Taking a look at Philadelphia yesterday, 709 EMS incidents were reported on Sunday, February 23rd. That's a lower number. That's a good number. That's good that it's finally coming down. And take a look at this. Yet again, in Montgomery County, we have to report that during our update, when we take a look at our check-in, there's cardiac arrest. But there's actually 2 cardiac arrest calls. Look at that. Ambler, Pennsylvania, Horsham, Pennsylvania. Yeah, 2 cardiac arrest calls. That's not good. I hope we don't also see one in Chester County, Pennsylvania, because that would just be really bad. And no, I'm not seeing cardiac arrest, but I am seeing a good number of calls right now. I'm seeing sick person, respiratory difficulty again, another sick person, another respiratory difficulty call, and several heart problem calls. Not a good round of calls right now. That's just not a good thing to see. I mean, as is, it looks like there's north of a dozen calls right now, which is not good. Take a look at what's going on with Pennsylvania hospitals. Yeah, busy today. Wow. Take a look at the Lehigh Valley, the Poconos, west of there, not good. South Central Pennsylvania, there are 1 or 2 hospitals that are having problems. Southeast Pennsylvania has a few hospitals with problems. Not good. Let's take a look at what's going on in New Jersey. Whoa. Mind you, I'm just seeing this the same time as you guys. I did not look at this beforehand. Wow. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what? There could be more hospitals down here. 9, 10 hospitals in New Jersey with problems, and a majority of these up top say emergency department or full. Princeton Medical Center, yet again, that hospital has been hit so bad this winter. Take a look at this. Yeah. Hospitals are slammed today. New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I don't have Maryland's dashboard up. I would have to assume Maryland is probably bad as well. Taking a look at what is going on in New York State, and got something interesting to show you here. First off, lucky sevens. 777 people tested positive. And I might as well give you this reminder. Does not include those who take these at-home tests. These are those who showed up for a PCR test. Take a look at this. Here's the hospitalizations. They actually went up slightly on the lag data. Mind you, this is lag data from last week. It went up to 807 people in the hospital and 72 people in the ICU. But I want to show you this. Take a look at New York City. Yeah, pretty big one-day increase in New York City. A little bit of a surprise. I hope this does not continue again tomorrow. 338 people in the New York City hospital and 35 people in the ICU, COVID-related. And that's just a surprisingly big jump. I don't know what's going on there now. Meanwhile, neighboring Long Island, which is, right next door, look at this. Long Island's actually dropping. Make it make sense. Let's go to the somewhere else here in New York City. Let's go up to the capital region. What's going on there? Hopefully they're dropping. Yeah, they've been seeing a big drop. They peaked right when they were supposed to. Normally the peak in the United States is right after the holidays. Let's go up to North Country. So you can see other regions of New York State not seeing that rise. New York State is. How about Mid-Hudson? What's going on there? I'm curious. Yeah, Mid-Hudson is dropping as well. It's very strange to see New York City off on basically doing its own thing. Take a look now at this. This is the latest Walgreens update, and I need to set this for national. There we go. Some bad news here. A lot of red on the map, but I'll explain why in just a moment. First off, the positivity rate nationally is 12%. Prior week is 10.9%. Difference of up 1.1%. But there is an issue here. The number of tests dropped. And the number of tests dropping so much versus cases dropping. Yeah, testing's dropping faster than the cases are, which results in a rise in positivity rate because not enough people getting tested. 6,781 tests versus the previous week's number of 8,636. So let's click on several states, shall we? Since we just talked about New York, let's click on New York State. New York State, the positivity rate, it's all the way up to 20%, but the prior week was 14.4%. That's up by 5.6%. You can see testing, 260 tests versus 334. A lot of states had significant testing decreases. Connecticut, you had a decrease as well. 12.1% positivity rate versus 7.1%. Positivity rate went up by 5%. Testing dropped by 10. 66 versus 56. You're not testing enough to begin with. Maine, flat over the week. 22 versus 22. Positivity rate 0. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Massachusetts, the positivity rate actually dropped. This is a good thing. Now, the positivity rate was 9.1%, down by 2% from 11.1%. Hey, dropping with testing dropping. Hey, that's a really good sign for you. Pennsylvania, not so good. 12.6% positivity rate versus 10.1%. That's up by 2.6%. Testing did go down. 87 tests versus 119. Virginia, you saw a significant decrease in testing. The positivity rate went up to 11.8% from 6.9%. That's up by 4.9%. Total test, 178 versus 274. Texas, take a look at this. Texas, 13.7% positivity rate. The prior week was 9.6%. Difference of up 4.1%. Total test, 1,152 versus 1,318. So yes, that is down. Georgia, the positivity rate is 16.8% versus 9.9%. That is up by 6.9%. And your testing dropped slightly. It wasn't as big of a drop as some of the other states, so some of this could maybe be cases going up. 262 tests versus 294. Florida, 7.7% positivity rate versus 7.3%. Difference of up 0.4%. Total test 742 versus 875. That is definitely a drop. And California, the positivity rate is 7%, down by 1.9%. Total test dropped too. So overall, California is doing good here. 215 tests versus 248. That's definitely a sign that your cases are dropping. Oregon, your positivity rate is, well, didn't update this week. How about Washington? Did that update? Washington, 4.4% positivity rate, down by 7.5%. 91 total tests versus 109. Testing down and positivity rate down. That is an encouraging sign. Taking a look at what's going on in Minnesota. The positivity trend rate is 12% versus 10.1%. Yeah, it's up by 1.9%. Total test down 75 versus 89. And we will end in Kentucky and move on. Kentucky, the positivity rate is 10.4%. The prior week was 13.6%. Difference of down 3.2%. Total test 135 versus 191. We will take a look at some more of these states again tomorrow. I do want to show you this now. Emergency department visits for people diagnosed with COVID. And we can see here. Take a look at the chart. Let me move my mouse here. You can see it's dropping pretty good now. But is that the case in all states? That's the national trend. How about we go to all the states that at least reported? And we can see nationally, again, dropping. Alabama is dropping at this time. Alaska, not really dropping, but also not really rising. Arizona is dropping. Arkansas, we're seeing a rise here. Something we'll keep an eye on. California is dropping slightly. Again, you're not all that high in California right now. Colorado is dropping. Connecticut, Delaware, dropping. Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, yes, that's definitely dropping at this time. Florida is dropping. Seeing a slight rise in Georgia. And remember, we just went back. Let's go back to Walgreens for a second. Remember, we showed you here at Walgreens. It looked like, the testing dropped, but it wasn't a big drop. It wasn't enough to justify that you went up 6.9%. And at the same time, Georgia, once again, seeing that increase a little bit for emergency department visits. So something definitely may be going on in Georgia at this time. Guam is low. Hawaii at this time is dropping. You can see a slight rise in Idaho. Not terribly concerned just yet. Illinois is dropping. Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, all dropping at this time. Kentucky may be a wonky movement at the end, but I think that's still going to continue to drop. Louisiana is dropping. Maine is definitely dropping. Maine is doing much better than you did at the holiday season peak. Maryland, not rising, but not dropping that much either. Massachusetts is dropping. Michigan, Mississippi, Montana, all dropping at this time. Nebraska is dropping. Nevada, ever so slight rise at this time. New Hampshire is dropping. New Jersey is dropping. New Mexico is dropping. New York is dropping at this time. North Carolina is dropping. North Dakota dropping. Ohio is dropping. Oregon, rising slightly for your emergency department visits with COVID. Pennsylvania is gradually starting to drop now. Rhode Island is dropping. South Carolina dropping. South Dakota was dropping. Now it's slowed off a little bit. Tennessee dropping. Texas is still dropping slightly. Utah, not going in any direction. Pretty much just flat at this time. Vermont is definitely dropping. Virginia is dropping. Washington, maybe it's starting to drop a little bit. That's Washington State. West Virginia, looks like maybe it's going to drop slightly. Wisconsin is dropping in. Wyoming did not update, and I don't think we mentioned Missouri, did we? No, Missouri's never added in here for whatever reason. There's a few states never added in here for whatever reason. Alrighty, folks, we need to pause. It's time that you keep yourself hydrated. We need to take our hydration break. Today's drink of choice is juice. It is very important that you keep yourself hydrated, whether it be you're sick, you have something going on, or you just need to remind yourself as well. Drink more liquids. Water is a great thing to drink. Moving on now to some wastewater data, and I thought we would go to South Orange County, Florida first, because spring break's going to be coming up soon, so we're going to start looking to see if Disney starts seeing a little bit of an increase in the Orlando area. And we can see right here for COVID, there is a slight increase going into February. I don't know if that's going to trend into anything, and we can also see here there's also a data gap back in December. Don't know what that's all about. But COVID, it's still listed high anyhow. RSV is listed at high, not rising at this point. Influenza A is holding steady. Influenza B is rising some, something to keep an eye on. HMPV is low, and everything else aside from norovirus is not much of it. Norovirus is dropping. Some hepatitis detections at this time. All right, I want to go out to Las Vegas. I had a request yesterday to see Las Vegas. And again, if ever you want me to show a certain wastewater site on here or a certain area, as long as I can find data, news, or whatever it is for that area, I will show it to you. So I do take a request down below. I love it when someone says, what about this area? I will gladly share that area. And Las Vegas was requested, I believe, if I remember correct. Las Vegas was requested yesterday. And we can see here, COVID. It was going up slightly. Now it's starting to go down some. But it is still listed high at this time. RSV is high. And to be honest with you, look at those RSV levels. They're starting to go up once again. That's concerning. Influenza A is holding flat at this time. Influenza B is dropping some, but both A and B at this time are still listed at high. We can see HMPV is low, and everything else, aside from norovirus, not much of an issue. Norovirus, maybe trying to go back up a little bit again. Some hepatitis A detections back in January and last year. Let's go somewhere else now. Let's go up further to the north, and let's see what's going on in Ohio, shall we? How about we go up to near Akron, Ohio? And we see in Ohio that COVID levels are listed at high, and they are kind of holding steady. They're not really dropping that much over the past couple of weeks after they were dropping at the end of January going into the start of February, but now that drop has slowed. RSV high and dropping at this time. Influenza A is high, and wow, Influenza A, flu, is still rising at this point. That's not good to see. Influenza B is low at this time, but overall that has gone up this year. It did drop a little bit at the beginning of February. HMPV is low, and norovirus is still listed high at this time. Hepatitis, latest detections of that were back in December. All right, let's go over to the CDC page for a second here, and let's take a look at what's going on with COVID in a few states, and we will go out west this time. First off, Alabama is still listed high for COVID. Let's go out to California. California's levels are low, but you can see here, within that, you still do have some areas where you must be very cautious because there are still some areas that are high or very high within that. Let's go up to Washington State and see what's going on there. And you can see the COVID levels in Washington State are moderate at this time. And let's go up to Influenza A for Washington State, shall we? Because memory serves me correct, I think they were still doing very bad for that. Let's take a look. Alabama, first off, is still listed in the high category. And Washington State, when it comes to Influenza A, yeah, very high. The majority of these sites are still very high. And taking a look at California for that, we can see California at this time, yeah, high, but wow, take a look up by the Bay Area. There are a lot of very high sites being detected up there. Slightly better down by LA, but there's still some very high sites there as well. That's not a good thing to see. And you know what? While we're at it, let's go somewhere on the East Coast. Let's see what Influenza A is doing down in Florida, shall we? And still listed high at this time. And let's go up and see what wastewater says for New York State, since we mentioned it earlier. And we can see there's still only 2 wastewater sites reporting there. That equals out to high still. I don't think any of these New York City, no. None of the New York City wastewater sites have any data. It says no data at this time. Alrighty, folks. That does it for the Monday edition of the Virus Update. We'll have another update again tomorrow with the latest news and data. If you enjoyed this update, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more updates like this, just subscribe down below, hit that notification bell, and of course, share this video with anyone you know, and leave your comments down below. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, have a fantastic Monday, everyone. Thanks for watching.